My wife and I just moved into our dream home. The previous owners left a note. We're sorry for what we left in the walls. We found the envelope taped inside the master bedroom closet while hanging clothes on our very first night in the house. The note was handwritten on expensive cream-colored stationery and dated 3 weeks before closing. To the new owners, we are deeply sorry for what we left in the walls. We tried everything possible to remove it, but nothing worked. Please know we disclosed this to our realtor, and we're told it wasn't legally required to inform buyers. We hope you can forgive us eventually. With sincere apologies, the Hoffmans. My wife laughed nervously and said it was probably just bad insulation or outdated wiring they couldn't afford to fix. Old houses came with quirks, and that's part of their charm, she reminded me. We'd gotten this place for nearly $40,000 under market value, and now we finally understood why the price was so low. I told myself she was absolutely right. I crumpled the strange note and threw it in the trash. We spent our first week unpacking boxes and arranging furniture and trying to make this unfamiliar place feel like home. Then the sounds started coming from inside the walls. Scratching, faint at first, barely noticeable over the normal sounds of settling floorboards and old pipes adjusting to new occupants. But the scratching grew steadily louder every single night, always emanating from inside the walls of our master bedroom, always beginning at exactly 3 a.m. without fail. My wife thought mice had gotten inside the walls somehow. I called a professional exterminator who set traps throughout the entire house and returned a week later having found absolutely nothing. No droppings anywhere, no entry points, no evidence of rodent activity whatsoever in any part of the structure. Whatever's making those sounds at night, it definitely isn't mice, he said, while packing up his equipment. He looked deeply uncomfortable and left faster than seemed professional. The scratching continued every night regardless. I started recording the sounds while we slept, hoping to identify the source and frequency. When I played the recordings back at higher volume the next morning, I realized it wasn't random scratching at all. There was a deliberate pattern to the sounds, a rhythm, almost like someone trapped inside was desperately trying to communicate through the old plaster. I hired a contractor to open up the wall and investigate properly. He cut a 2-foot square hole in the drywall right next to our bed and shined his industrial flashlight into the dark cavity. Then he went completely silent and still for about 30 very long seconds. "You need to call the police immediately," he finally said. His face had gone the pale gray color of old newspaper. Inside the wall cavity was a small wooden box wrapped in badly deteriorating fabric. The box was nailed shut with old square-headed nails that hadn't been manufactured in over 50 years, according to the contractor. I called the police that same hour. They arrived and called their forensics team for backup. What they found sealed inside that wooden box made the lead detective excuse herself to vomit in our bathroom before she could continue processing the scene. Human remains, small, fragile bones. An infant, according to the medical examiner's preliminary assessment. The tiny skeleton had been entombed inside that wall for somewhere between 40 and 60 years, based on decomposition of surrounding materials and the age of the construction. I called the Hoffmans immediately, using the number still saved in my phone from closing paperwork. A woman answered on the 4th ring, sounding exhausted beyond words. "You found her," she said quietly, before I could even speak. "I always knew you would eventually." I demanded a full explanation of what we'd discovered in our walls. "My husband bought this house from his elderly parents back in 1985, she began slowly. "His mother died exactly 1 week after the sale finalized. On her deathbed, she confessed something terrible to him, something that happened in this house back in 1962. I gripped my phone tighter until my knuckles ached. His mother gave birth to a baby girl that year, but the baby was born wrong somehow, she claimed. Something about its face, something about the sounds it made at night. She became convinced the infant was possessed or cursed or somehow not human at all." The woman's tired voice cracked with emotion. She smothered the baby 3 days after giving birth. Then she made her husband seal the tiny body inside the bedroom wall. They never spoke about it again for over 20 years, until she was dying. I couldn't breathe properly hearing this. My husband spent the last 35 years of his life trying to locate that wall. We renovated this entire house 3 separate times, searching desperately for her. We hired psychics and dowsers and contractors with thermal imaging equipment. Nothing ever worked. We could hear her scratching every single night, but we could never pinpoint exactly where she was hidden. She started crying softly into the phone. We named her Eleanor. We had a priest come pray over this house every month, hoping it would finally give her peace. It never worked no matter what we tried. She just kept scratching like she was trying to dig her way back out into the world. We buried Eleanor in a proper cemetery 2 weeks after finding her. We gave her a real headstone with her name carved into granite. The scratching stopped completely the night after the funeral service. Our dream home is quiet now.